Over the last couple of years, we've taken a look at a few AEB-style blasters, or automatic electronic blaster. That acronym may be a little familiar to those of you who airsoft. All of this really started with things like the NERF Vulcan and NERF Stampede, and there was a couple of other little turret-fed ones as well, but the actual magazine-fed primary-style AEB, at least officially from NERF, never took off, and it really didn't pick up any kind of steam in the hobby until more recently. And this one here, the inverted scales with the Zhilin Kit on it, it's freakishly good. It's by far the best one I've used, and if you know anything about that AEB, then you would know that that makes this thing absolutely terrifyingly overpowered. So these are automatic Springer blasters. There's a big old torquey motor in the grip of this blaster, a gearing system, a plunger tube, a spring, and so forth. Originally, the inverted scales had like this front end on it, and kind of just like put that there and you can sort of see where this was going. And then a standard buffer tube style stock. The Jillian Kit replaces the entire front end and the back. The front end being this beautiful machined metal forend that adds a lot of new features to the blaster. And the back end, well, it's kind of squared off, so it's a little bit more pistol-ish. But it also lets you use more standard 3S LiPo battery packs instead of the ones that have to fit inside of a buffer tube. But when you buy this version of the inverted scales, you get both this already set up like this, and then of course the parts to convert it back if you choose. Links to buy all this from Phantom Toys AU are gonna be down in the description below. However, they are talking to other distributors in order to get this into more people's hands. Now, I do have a couple of nitpicks, and we're gonna start with one right off the bat. This butt stock thing is that it's like a good portion of it is 3D printed. There's a piece that kind of wraps around here where like the buttstock, it looks so good I can't even tell it's 3D printed, but then there's some obvious bubblegummy, not great 3D printing going on the rest of that, which is a shame because the other parts of the blaster are either metal or nylon. So this one is by far the most durable AEB style blaster I've gotten my hands on yet. I've taken a look at the Colonel 76, which I thought was a fantastic blaster, and then the QWK Challenger 3, which has had a lot of issues and also was incredibly fragile. I don't think that's gonna be a problem with this one. It does come in a couple of other colors, including pink, and the one I have here is an OD green, obviously not pink. So this butt plate spot and this forend are completely different, and the forend is where things get really cool because this is completely machined metal, I think aluminum. And right out of the gate here, if I just undo these screws ever so slightly, I need an Allen key for one of them and a Phillips for the other. For some fun reason, the forend is actually pivotable. You can lock it into a bunch of different positions in case you wanted to have a Sten gun. And that's just a really cool feature you don't ever see on any other blaster. But of course, in its standard configuration here, it looks like an M3 grease gun that's a little bit more angular, and I'm a big fan of that. Even the mag release on the front here is made of metal, and it's a standard Talon mag receiver. But here I can take a standard Talon mag and just pop that in, and it's good to go. The other thing that the Jillian upgrade kit adds to the inverted scales is compatibility with standard threaded barrels, like the ones that you would see with the Kirin or the Worker Harrier / Seagull. This is the length it comes with, which is incredibly short, at least in barrel standards, and it already hits ridiculously hard, so I'm scared to see what will happen when we throw the longer barrel on it. Do you play games on your mobile device? Well, why not play a bunch of new games and also earn while you play? And that's where today's sponsor, Misplay, comes in. Getting started with Misplay is incredibly easy. Simply download Misplay using the QR code on the screen or the link in the description and pinned comment below. As soon as you launch the app, you'll have many different games to choose from, and they all have different varying speeds of earning points. I was scrolling through the list and found Adventure Communist. I played the original Adventure Capitalist, so now I get to play a game that I already know I'm going to like because pressing buttons make dopamine and brain happy juices. It's an idle game, so you just click buttons and I earn points while doing that, which I can use to redeem a variety of different gift cards. Pretty much every gift card I know of and then some. As long as you're playing these games through Misplay, you'll be earning points. Plus, you'll get 200 bonus points for signing up today and 50 bonus points when you use my code WALCOM50 inside the app. Get started today for free and start playing video games to earn points that you can redeem for gift cards today. And now back to future Walcom while I press buttons to get potatoes and land and ore and this game, oh no. And other than that, you got a full-length Picatinny rail up at the top right here. You've got the trigger right here. It just has a little bit of take-up, and then you can hear a micro switch activate. It's a pretty firm micro switch. And then you've got this little 3-position switch on the side, which is perfect to manipulate with your thumb. Now, of course, if you're using this left-handed, you're kind of screwed. But it's going to be safe, semi-auto, and full auto. And now I can just pull up that door, and we've got ourselves an XT30 connector right here. And it will take a pretty small 3S LiPo battery, stuff this all back in here. Its battery's in there, and now the coolest thing is every single time we flip this switch, it will also give us an audible beep. And it's actually really well weighted, all things considered. Even with this hunk of metal at the front here, all of the guts are in the back, so it feels really good. But you know what feels even better? You know, besides hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, and leaving me a comment down below, it's actually firing the darn thing. Holy crap. This thing is bonkers. My next minor nitpick is that this thing is capable of such a high rate of fire. And yet the trigger pull is so long, it kinda prevents you from fully enjoying that. But if you want to full auto this thing, here's your rate of fire. That is, I don't know exactly how fast yet because we have to take it over to Freddy, but that is really good. Yeah, if you love springers or flywheel blasters, you're probably really concerned right now. Dart type obviously matters a lot. I'm using Adventure Force Pro darts for these tests because they're the easiest to get here in the US, but the foam is slightly smaller than Worker darts, so you'd get better performance with Worker Gen 3s, but still getting reliably over 200 FPS with the short barrel is pretty good. When we move over to the longer barrel, it is a bit more inconsistent with those Adventure Force Pro darts, but we are getting shots hitting up to 300 FPS and a median of around 250, 260, which is stupid powerful, and it still has so much more to go. All right, so this was a little bit more difficult than it needed to be because they didn't send me the correct barrel or scar combination for this blaster that makes it perform the way it should. So I kind of had to just find a barrel that would work, which is the longer barrel that I used for the chronograph testing, and the scar that would work. The problem is, if you use the short barrel it comes with, yes, it hits like 200 something FPS. The problem is that there's so much air power coming out, it's impossible to stabilize the dart without a very specialized muzzle device. With this, well, now it's hitting like 300 FPS, but I don't really have a scar muzzle that will stabilize 300 FPS. So I'm gonna do my best here, and to make this even worse, I'm using worn Adventure Force Pro darts because that's the bulk of what I have right now. So this will not be the best example of its potential accuracy. Yeah, those shots where it randomly goes off to the right are not me. $51. $69, giggity. That's a better one. I'm gonna try one more. $61. $63. It's getting a little bit better.
Ready.
All right, and for this one, I'm gonna do full auto. $45. So yeah, this is a very unique problem. I wish I had a proper muzzle device for this kind of power, but I don't. So if you do pick one of these things up, make sure you get the very specific muzzle device to stabilize the darts for this blaster. I'm gonna make sure that the seller knows that, because without it, it's very frustrating, because I tried a bunch. I've tried so many different ones, and none of them worked even remotely as good as the Silly Scar. It's a relatively competitive price at about $235 that comes with the original forend and buttstock and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to get this souped up version that is advertised to hit 240 FPS out of the box or over 300 FPS with a longer barrel, then yeah, this setup is over $400 US. But if you understand what's going on here, that price is extremely competitive. And my third major nitpick is, well, it's really difficult to change the spring in these things, and the fourth one would be that it's a non-standard spring. And honestly, that's a shame, because being able to swap out the spring fairly easily in this thing would be an incredible upgrade. This thing hitting 200 something out of the box already exceeds every cap that I know of, and most tournaments are getting wise. For example, the 5v5s at Ragnar Oktoberfest actually had these in the same category as flywheelers, which is super smart because this thing is a Springer that has all of the advantages of a flywheeler and none of the downsides. And that's why blasters like this, especially when they can be relatively compact and this powerful and this responsive with that rate of fire and really this easy to use. Obviously, I haven't fired hundreds of rounds through this thing to see exactly how the internals hold up over time, but this thing is literally the best of both worlds and kind of beats out HP in a lot of ways because you don't have to have a big monstrous external tanker, really worry about anything other than your battery, and the batteries are pretty inexpensive once you get into the whole LiPo ecosystem. In fact, I'll have affiliate links for a charger and a LiPo down below if you do pick one of these up that you can easily get off Amazon and will get you started no problem whatsoever. And that's where this thing just crosses over into absolutely overpowered territory. You can still have the same aggressive, suppressing fire capabilities of a flywheeler with the accuracy and responsiveness of a Springer. And in the perfect world, this would be the only blaster you'd pretty much need. And as these platforms get more popular, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more options out there. But if you need to have one of the best, in my opinion, right now, by far it's the inverted scales with the Jillian Kit on it, because even though it doesn't have a stock, and I wouldn't want to even put the buffer tube stock on there because the battery situation, I mean, all around this thing just absolutely slaps and pretty much replaces every single blaster in my arsenal. I still love it though. I just wish I had a pink one.